question is, if God was upset because they were building a Tower of Babel, how does he feel about us going to outer space? How does that compare? Thank you.
I don't believe we've ever had this question. So, Pastor Pete.
Nanu. Well, the whole idea of Babel, all right, let me get into that first. Babel, it doesn't compare to what she's talking about, idle space. Babel was complete immorality. It's where they were building this edifice that's going up to the throne room of heaven, and it was filled with sacred, I don't know how, it's got to be an oxymoron, sacred prostitution, you know what I mean? And the whole idea of Babel was immoral. So God went down and confounded their languages. But us going into space to discover, and everything about that was pride, it was arrogance, it was all man-focused. But us studying space and going into space has nothing to do, in my estimation, with the Tower of Babel.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Pastor Glaze.
Well, again, I think that, us going into space is more exploration.
Right.
And, I don't see anything wrong with, us going, except, if we're going out there to try to, disprove God, or, we're going out there to challenge God, if that, well, I'm going into space to show that I'm all powerful, and I can shake my fist in God's face, then if that's the attitude, then that's wrong.
And that was the attitude of the people of Babel.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
it was.
Right.
Any other thoughts over here?
Yeah, I think the verse that we're looking at here is Genesis 9:7, after the flood, where God gives the creation commission, as it were. Be fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply in it. So God tells them, go out, multiply, fill the earth. And what do they do in Genesis 11:4? Come, let us build for ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad across the face of the whole earth. The actual intention was to disobey what God had just said. Go and fill the earth, spread out on the earth. Let's do this so that we don't have to do what God said. Right. That's why the Tower of Babel was wrong. And it really does come down to intention. I can read my Bible so that I can brag to other people about how much more. Therefore, me reading my Bible is actually a sin because my intention is to use it for evil. So really in the intention, and if our intention, as you said, Dr. Glaze, in space is to try to prove there's no God, well, then it's wrong to go into space. But if our intention is just to have dominion and subdue, as God commanded us to do, and to do it in a godly way, not in an immoral way, then pretty much the sky's the limit.
Why? Yeah, good point. I mean, it's not a sin to build Burj Khalifa here. It's a sin why we're doing it. Why we're doing it.
Well, I think one thing that's amazing, just as a little side note to all of this, is that the fact that God had to come down and say, they can make this happen. I mean, if you think about that for a minute, he said, listen, we have to stop this thing because if we let them go, I mean, this is not today where we have cranes and we have a rough time building the One World Trade Center. Yeah. You know what I mean? It takes years. These were people using bricks and mortar and saying, we're going to build a tower that's going to reach heaven. And God said, listen, anything they think about, it shows the power of unity when people can come together and what could happen when people of denominations and churches and backgrounds come together, what could be accomplished with man when they come together like that. So just a side note, when you mentioned about how they were scattered abroad, they didn't want to do what they wanted. They wanted to do what they wanted to do instead of what God asked them to do. How when they came together, they had that ability to be able to do that is just outstanding to me. I mean, like, wow, it's hard to believe. It's the Bible and I believe it, but it's hard to believe it.
But could you imagine what happened? All of a sudden, here's people that and now you don't even understand each other anymore. It's
Boy, that had to be incredible. Well, let's listen to the next question.